Patriarchy, which is a concept historians and social scientists have been using at least as early as the early 1900s to describe historical cultures, is a term that in the 1960s and 70s, second wave women's liberation leaders and feminist theoreticians and critics adopted to help reveal, to expose the sources of female inequality in culture. Now, we all can say that we've made a lot of progress in terms of female equality in culture, but it isn't hard to see in many ways that inequality still exists for women in our culture, from pay disparities to the makeup of the United States Senate, and we can come up with many, many other examples. For feminist critics and thinkers, these inequities are the results of what they refer to as patriarchal social structures. And I wanted to take a second to look at this really useful definition that I posted to the Feminist 101 web lecture. This idea that patriarchy is systemic, that it's not isolated incidents of misbehavior, but it's systemic patterns of social constructs that empower men and subordinate women, that these systemic patterns are cultural, that they're social, that they're economic. These are key elements of patriarchy. Two other important elements are that attributes that are identified as feminine in a patriarchal culture are have lesser standing and therefore subordinate women to male authority, and attributes of masculinity, which are elevated in the culture. And this is a really interesting point, that patriarchal ideas of gender roles are typically presented as natural or the result of biology. Men are this way because of biology. Women are this way because of biology, because that's the way it is. And these kind of ideas of patriarchy have been the major focus of feminist thinkers since the 60s and 70s. And so as we think about the other concepts that I present in this Feminist Criticism 101 lecture, key concepts like gender roles, key concepts like intersectionality and mother work, what we want to remember is that for feminist critics, these concepts are tools for understanding how patriarchy works. So if we want to understand patriarchy, and if we want to change it to promote female equality, we need to understand that gender codes are cultural constructs. We need to be able to find what they are, how they work, how they're constructed, so we can unpack them. We need to understand intertextuality. We need to understand domesticity. We need to understand mother work. These concepts we understand as tools for identifying and changing patriarchy, with the goal of enhancing female agency, right, by helping reverse the patterns of subordination that patriarchy promotes. So that's kind of the why patriarchy is an important overarching idea to understand as you learn the other important terms in Feminist Criticism 101 that will allow us to really break down the idea of what is the relationship between being a woman and human agency in American culture.